Hey guys and girls, Nathan here, just getting back in the swing of things. Hope everyone is well and having an awesome 2021 so far. Just trying to get our friends over on Instagram connected. For some reason, Instagram is playing up over there. So beautiful. Technical issues, everyone. So, just welcome aboard. Welcome to 2021. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks, Mahesh. Thanks, Olivia. If I can get just a bit of a thumbs up over on Instagram, if you can watch this and it's all okay, that'd be tremendous. There was just a bit of an error uploading to Instagram. I have missed hanging out with you guys and girls. So much has happened. It feels like it's been so long since I hopped on camera and did a live. Thanks a lot, guys. I can see over on Insta we're working now. Cool, guys. So much has happened already in 2021, and just wanted to hop online, do a Facebook Live, do an Instagram Live. I'm going to change things up this year. For those of you that are watching this from Instagram, there's a few little notes in the heading here, and just having a look here. I will be doing these alternatively moving forward, not doing lives every week. Reason being is we will be doing a new podcast version of this. So I've been asked for a very, very long time to do podcasts. I haven't done podcasts, and keeping up with the times. Going to turn this into a monthly Tuesday night chats once a month. However, we'll be doing the podcast every week. So open for topics for that. But got lots of things that I want to talk about this evening. For some reason, I can't see all your comments. Ask any questions as well, guys, if you've got questions. I've got lots of things to talk about this evening. So here we are. Who enjoyed their holidays? It's been probably about 6 weeks since being online. I personally went out and travelled about 7,000 kilometres, which was a bit of a longer drive than what I thought. Going in about 6 weeks' time, I've got to drive another 5,000 kilometres. I've been looking at properties, buying properties. I put on over 1,000 offers on properties over the break. I bought seven motels, which I'm building a motel chain from, which I'll talk about a little bit later throughout the year. I settle on a big 32 room motel shortly, which I'll be at probably in about 6 weeks time. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys extra levels of my journey this year. 2020 was probably one of the biggest years of my life. Actually occurred to me on Christmas Day that a lot of people actually had a crap 2020. I was happy all year, and I was a dude that's always smiling, and I guess was prepared for that. Just once again, apologising to everyone that I may have offended last year, but it's make of it as to what you will. As for other things, I was trying to make videos throughout my journey, but thinking about it, like I did about 20 days of driving. I drove 7,000 k's. It was like 500 k's a day that I was driving. The days that I was driving, so a lot of driving had occurred on my break. So it wasn't really a break, but I had a great time, and just been trying to catch up on things and kick ass for this year. I don't want to be the doom and gloom guy. Some people may have picked me for that. I'm not. But I actually think 2021, for a lot of people, if 2020 was a bad year for you, I think 2021 may be a lot worse. Make sure that you're on top of things. Make sure you're taking control of your own life. as always, having personal liberty and freedom is the most important thing to live life on your terms. So, yeah, I'm excited to see this year. I can see a lot of people asking me what's happening in the crypto market. Lots of things have happened since we caught up last. We've had Bitcoin hit $50,000. We've had those guys. I've got some news articles here. What are they from? The Robin Hood guys from GameStop. If you've been hiding under a rock, you would have seen that some people on a forum tried to manipulate the market, and I'll give you my few cents on that a little bit later as well. We've seen Trump get kicked out of the White House, get removed from social media, seen a lot of censorship, a lot of communism occur this year already, and there is scary things happening out there. We really are living in the Matrix. We are living in the Truman Show, and it is what you make of it. So don't get too caught up. Don't go chasing Q. I never believed in that thing anyway. But just be aware of things that you see out there, and question everything. If it makes sense, cool, go with it. If it doesn't, question it until you feel comfortable with it. So yeah. I don't have the corona, guys. Don't have the corona. Yeah. So we have got here massive fraud occurring in all markets. Let's start with the financial markets. So we had the RBA give out their lowdown today. There is no rate cut or rate increase. Of course, we're not going to see a rate increase. It is now 2021, and we're now 11 years since Australia saw their last rate increase. The Central Bank of Australia, the Reserve Bank of Australia, the RBA, has not raised interest rates for 11 years. That is over a decade. Well, I can't even count. There's 6 and there's another 5. 11 years since we've seen a rate rise in this country, and I don't think we're going to see one anytime soon. We are starting to see the wheels fall off the cart with inflation out there. So if we look at inflation that has been occurring so far in 2021, we have Bitcoin at 50 grand. Jason asked the question, what are my thoughts on crypto? I've been a very avid fan of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, Litecoin, many different platforms and protocols over the years. I'm not a big fan of applications. I'm a big fan of protocols. If you don't know the difference between a protocol and an application, go and research it. But I'm a big fan of protocols. But yeah, the space is there's a bit of a casino out there. So those of you that are getting into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies now, thinking you're gonna be retiring in 2021, be very, very careful. Be careful of who's giving you advice. Be careful about what you're reading, what you're watching. There is a lot of pump and dumps out there, and a lot of Ponzi schemes within the crypto space. But am I selling my Bitcoin? No, I still own it. I will continue to own it. I think it's got a hell of a long way to go. No financial advice to anyone, of course. But yeah, looking at the upside, Bitcoin did hit 50 grand Aussie, double what it hit last time at the peak in 2018. And what an awesome time for cryptocurrencies. So we've got crypto going to an all-time high. We've got food, groceries, cars, everything is rising. We've got stock markets at all-time highs. One of the things that I didn't actually account for last year is one thing I just realized now that I should share with everyone. I said that I thought we were going to see an epic stock market crash in 2020, which we have not seen. It is just a bigger, more inflated Ponzi scheme. We have got insolvent companies going for all-time high. We've got so much fraud, so much manipulation out there, and all it takes is one little pin to pop the actual market. So am I buying shares at the moment? Absolutely not. I'm still loading up on properties, loading up on businesses. I'm out there collecting all the wallets, the rings and watches that have been dropped on the floor as people are running out in the market. So yeah, looking at The share market, the most important thing that everyone keeps asking about is our friends over in GameStop. I will give you my 2 cents on that in one moment. I am skeptical of what has gone on. So for those of you that don't know, GameStop is a computer shop. They sell, I don't know, computer games and Nintendo games and all that sort of stuff. In America, they've been hit with the said illness that is going on apparently out there in the world. And the share was down to about $2. It was being short sold. So basically, when short sellers are out there, they're people that are trying to pull down the price. They'll be shorting the market in order to put offers in to buy the shares cheaper and sell it to someone. And it's a bit like a reverse sort of sale. These short sellers do manipulate the market. They do, all the markets are suppressed. They're all manipulated. The property market didn't go up because houses got better. The property market went up because the money bought less, so you need more of it to buy the same thing. The stock market is going up because it's having money pumped into it fraudulently, but it's another story. However, they are trying. There's people out there that try to short the market. So on Reddit, so it's just like a Reddit's an online forum where people get together and talk about stuff. On Reddit, they came out, a group of people banded together, and I forget what they're called. They're called Wall Street Bets. So it's just this group called Wall Street Bets. Went out and they said, let's go and purchase up all the shares. So the shorts that are in the market is about 140%. So imagine if there was 1,000 shares of a company, right? Let's say 1,000 B.Invested shares, let's call it, right? And they were trading on the market. And then someone was trying to sell 1,400 of those shares. There's only 1,000 of them to sell to start off with. So what these people on Reddit said is that if they buy all the shares, that means the price will rise. And then when the price rises, then the people that are shorting them will go, shit, we have to pay more, and they'll have to pay extortion fees to these people. So the share prices have gone from like $4 to like $380, something like that. And the price went all the way up 100 times. So a lot of people have hailed this group as being heroes and taking care of the poor and the innocent people that can't fend for themselves, which all sounds good in a news outlet, a news article and whatnot. However, was it something so innocent like that? Was it something more sophisticated? Is there a more elaborate group behind this? Is there another agenda behind it? Is it another way to re-liquidify the market by pushing things up? If we look at the silver market, they said, well, what happened is that Robinhood, which is the trading platform where this all occurred and went down, just to show you the level of fraud and manipulation out there. Janet Yellen, the most evilest, despicable, craziest looking person that you've ever seen. She used to be the Fed chairman, so she's one of the most powerful people. She's on the board of this new government, which is in America. She came out and she said, it's bad, etc., etc. However, I believe she was paid from somewhere, or I researched from a company behind it, she was paid $500,000 last year in wages. So who works for who? Who's scratching who's back, right? So it's interesting to look at that. Robinhood, which is a trading platform where it all occurred, you've only got the ability to buy 2 shares per day from that website. So imagine you could buy 1,000 shares, 1,000,000 shares, whatever shares you wanted to buy. You could buy all of them if you really wanted to, and you had the disposable cash to be able to do so. But now you're rationed out, you can only buy 2 a day. Ultimately, that will push down the price of those shares that the people were holding, and the prices have crashed. So what has happened is these guys from Wall Street Bet, guys, girls, who knows this, be politically correct in this world we live in today, and go out there. They've gone out there and they've tried to short. They've tried to buy up all of the silver on the COMEX. So basically, there's this thing called SLV, which is not silver. It's how they trade the contracts on the markets. And basically, Everyone believes that silver should be worth in the hundreds, or if not even $1,000 for an ounce of silver. What they said is that let's go out and purchase all of the silver contracts, meaning that what happens is that the silver price will go through the roof, and they'll have to pay a lot more, and the silver price could go back to $1,000, could go to $1,000. So if you look at things like gold, silver, those things should be in a natural world, in the thousands of dollars. So what will happen from this? I do not know. I do not have an opinion on it, really. I just think it is interesting. Am I partaking in purchasing silver? Am I partaking in purchasing shares? Am I partaking in any of this? No. My position is set. I don't go out and get caught up into bubbles and hot fads of the day. Should I go out and buy Bitcoin today? I was buying Bitcoin when it was $500. I've been purchasing silver since 2000. And just slowly accumulating that metal. So with it, that is my 2 cents on it. What will come from this, I don't know. There is a few thoughts as for, is there a bigger hand? Is there a smarter move? Is there a bigger power that is actually pushing some of these agendas to push the market along? So with it, if we look at the silver, I just seen here, Satnam said, I think silver was fake news cooked up by the Wall Street big dogs, not Wall Street bets. Of course, if you are on Birchfeed, if you're not on Birchfeed yet, go to birchfeed.com. It's free. Download Telegram app and get on there. I have not posted much about this. I have not posted much about the silver shorts that are out there. Every second video on my YouTube stream at the moment, when I have had a chance to log into it, has been silver this, silver that, silver's going to go to the moon, silver's going to this. I think it's a lot of a pump up as well. So I'm certainly not jumping on it thinking it's the greatest thing and whatnot. I take very careful moves, and this is a market to be able to, when you move, slide the chess piece like, I've got my glass here, checkmate. And that's how you should make your moves, especially in this market. So let's have a bit of a recap on 2020. I have seen some amazing things happen in the finance market last year. It was fabulous. If I really, reflect on the year that was, it was tremendous for the amount of opportunity, for the amount of liquidity coming into the markets, for the amount of fraud and manipulation for everyone to take part in. That's what's out there, right? These financial markets are a scam. But it's what they're doing. If you look at the amount of liquidity out there in the market, for example, in the US, the debt throughout of all of US history up until 2020, it's like $3 trillion from the government. Now they've gone up to $6 trillion. They've literally doubled in 1 year their whole monetary supply and blamed it on a said illness. So the amount of, just to put that in context, right, like 200 years of history of money creation, evolvement of humanity, Western civilization, everyone building up, this world and the parameter of the matrix that we live in. And in 1 year, we printed more than the whole of the history's worth of money. If that's not fraud, my ass doesn't sit down on this chair, right? That is a mess. But, everything's rising. So if you're not in financial assets, doesn't matter whether you're buying glasses at the shop, whether you're buying phone cases, a mobile phone, everything has gone up in value. Tell me something that has gone down in value, it'll be interested to see, because everything is getting inflated away, and I think we're really at the early stages of this hyperinflation. I've talked about a hyperinflation 4 years ago. People were saying, keep off the bags, Birchy, keep off the bags, stop taking drugs. I've never taken drugs. I just laugh at those comments that used to come through on my YouTube videos from faceless people trying to talk shit. But I was talking about a hyperinflation 4 years ago, and we are in a really crux of the hyperinflation, right? They're going to need to print a hell of a lot more money in 2021 to keep this Ponzi scheme alive. In March this year, they're going to do two things. One, there's a few things they're going to do. One, I'm really excited for, and that is the relaxation of lending laws, and APRA, out there in the controlling of the financial markets, are going to relax a lot more laws. What that will mean will be more money going into the economy, or going into the markets. People that are sitting on the sideline that are waiting to be able to get loans. I know so many people that want to go buy a property, but they can't get a loan. If they had the opportunity to, they would be jumping onto a loan. When they do get a chance to, what is going to happen? People are going to jump into the market, things are going to rise. So there's one thing that's going to come through. Second thing is JobKeeper, JobSeeker, all of the above. They are talking about removing JobKeeper, which will come up in March. Let's assume that they remove that. What will happen? I think we will. There we go. Good one, Hayden. I'll get to that in a moment. But I think we're going to see them try and take their foot off the accelerator. And we're going to see a little bit of contraction in the economy from March, maybe April, maybe May. And they're going to have to turn that money printer on and go and print more money in other sort of stimulus packages. There is no way of getting us off this socialist insecurity checks that are out there. Most people that love it call it social security, but it's socialist insecurity because they need to be, taking from that system. And it's great, if you see how it works, it's great. But yeah, we're going to see them remove some of those stimulus measures. Will they extend it? Will they not? If they don't extend it, they're going to have to come back with it. If they do extend it, it's just going to, keep this party alive. So, imagine taking away all the chairs. If you were playing musical chairs, you took away all the chairs from the table. Actually, not talking about the table. I've got to hook my phone up here to some power source because it's about to go out. But if you took all the chairs away and you're playing musical chairs, just keep the music playing, right? No one ever goes to sit down and realise that there's no chairs left, and that is exactly where we're at. So I'm very optimistic, very excited for 2021. There are so many opportunities out there. What are you doing for your 2021? There's some of the questions. How was your goals? Did you reach your goals for 2020? Have you got your goals planned for 2021? I've spent sort of 4 weeks working on that, as well as working on lots of other things, and I'm ready to make action happen. So it's really cool. Looking at Hayden just made a comment here saying the RBA only announced another 100 billion in bond buying. It's crazy, right? We've got basically what the RBA is doing is saying we'll take the loan, we'll print some money, we'll cover it for your government. More money's getting printed, more money's going out there. That money is finding itself into people's pockets. You don't need to work anymore. It's all right. Darren just wrote here, I just read on the ABC news page they're going to put $200 billion into the economy. They are going to keep printing, right? This is going to turn into runaway inflation, right? We start seeing everything start to rise, and poof, right? You cannot double the money supply, right? If I have this glass, is the glass half full, is the glass half empty, right? If I let's say this has got cordial in it, right? Some people think I put vodka in here. I don't drink vodka. I don't drink really. But let's say that I poured more water in here and it went all the way to the top. It would be diluting whatever the other liquid was that is in there. That is what's happening to our money supply, guys and girls. In 2021, debt will become even greater to see. Debt will become a greater asset. All the things that we've seen in 2021 is just a start of what is to come. A lot of people ask me about crypto. What is your crypto strategy? I've seen a lot of people that are in crypto that do know me from the crypto side of things. Um, just having a look here, got questions coming through. I'll get back to, got a message here from Lang & Simmons actually. Generally speaking, are you buying right now or being conservative? I am buying. I've been aggressively buying for 2 years. When the markets got smashed, I told everyone to be very conservative back in 2017, 2018, to the point where people said I was off my head. People were questioning why I was being negative. People saying I was very contradicting because I said we're going to see a depression of biblical proportions and it's going to be amazing and you should be excited by it. And they're like, why would you be excited by that? I was like, because of all of the things to come from that depression would be tremendous. As an investor, like I've seen it before it happens, and it's really great. So I am buying lots and lots of assets. This year so far, I bought a new weekender. In the process of buying it actually, and got 7 motels. So it's only 1 month in. So call it aggressive or not. Crypto strategy. So people are asking me, Nathan, what should I buy in crypto? Should I buy Bitcoin now? Should I, what coin is the best coin to buy? I'm not going to sit here and give you what coin is the best to buy, right? There is so many, fun things to have in crypto. There are so many cool things that could be for the future. There's so many things that are held back, manipulated. There's so many things that are, risky. There's so many things that you can make money on. On the break, I've spread a few $1,000s across some crypto. I don't actually buy crypto nowadays because I've got such a large holding of it. I'm just a lazy investor. My Bitcoin goes up, my Litecoin goes up, all of my coins go up or down, whatever happens with the market. But there's a few coins that are new to the market, which are DeFi projects and stuff like that, so finance applications. So basically, they can create liquidity to the cryptocurrency atmosphere. I've spread some money around on those things, just like little bits here, $200 on this, $200 on that, $200 on that. Not even really paying attention because I know that it'll either go up a little bit, or go down a little bit, or go down a lot, or go up a lot. But it's only $200 each one. So some of those cryptocurrencies have gone up tenfold, 20-fold, 50-fold already this year. So not 50-fold, but some of them have gone up really, really well. But I'm not out here to give you advice because it is pretty hard to know what is going to happen out there. However, what I do know is that there's been some people that have made tremendous profits, right? I know people that have had 10 grand in their crypto that's gone up to 300 grand, right? That have pulled it out and wanted to know what is their strategy, which is cool because people have booked in for map sessions. They had crypto and they're like, now I'm going to take my crypto profits and put into property. So yeah, as for my strategy all along was to get my cryptocurrency to pay out my debt, which it's doing all right, it's doing its thing. However, I see that some of these protocols have got great opportunities, tremendous sort of prospects for the future, especially living in the world today where everything is tracked, traced. You'll have things turned off just because they don't like you because you didn't take a said thing that goes into you that has a little, I'm not talking about a pen, I'm talking about something that goes into your arm. But yeah, I can't say it because I'll be kicked off like everyone else out there that talks about these sorts of things. So if I want to have a personal life and not be a part of that system, every time you go and scan your phone, every time you go and get that thing put onto your head, I would not allow them to put whatever it is inside of the temperature checker thing on my head because I just don't like it. Right? You're pointing something directly at my third eye, which isn't cool. So if you don't comply with society, comply with the rules out there, they will cut you off. So I think crypto has the ability to help people on the other side and give people the opportunity to still transact on a parallel sort of platform and not be stuck in this communist world that we have to be a part of. So yeah, like whether you are, just starting to get into crypto, whether you are, in crypto wanting to pull out your profits and, put it elsewhere, happy to have a chat, reach out to my team. Yeah, I'm not here to give map sessions or strategy sessions on crypto. I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy this or not buy this. But if you do want to have a chat, my team, happy to help you out and myself. So on that front, I think it will be a big year for crypto. I think it will be a big year for lots of things. Is it going to be a big year for gold and silver? Who knows? I think that stuff is very, very cheap. I think it is much cheaper than what it should be out there, and it appears to be suppressed. But once again, it's just a ballast. Make sure you've got some crypto over here, some metal over there, a lot of debt over here, properties over there. I shared a video the other day. It was of Jim Rickards talking about depression, talking about the Weimar government in Germany in the 1920s. I remember the minutes on the video. It was between minute 31 and 32 minutes into the video. It was only a 1 minute line. If you go watch that video, that 1 minute line is exactly my plan for the global financial depression that we are in. Whether you see it as a depression or not, it is a depression. So what will happen with these lockdowns? The world has gone into lockdown. I was reading, I regularly just maybe once or twice a day just flick through some of the news and see the news articles just for a laugh as to what is being pumped out there in these propaganda outlets. And I've seen a lot of propaganda about these things that I'm not going to announce what I'm talking about, where they put the India, which I don't do. They are talking about game changer and all these nice headings that are on it, all propaganda about these things, right? What will happen when this gets rolled out? What will happen when we're forced into a digital currency? What will happen when you have to go and ask for help and get servitude to this system, even greater to be enslaved to the matrix? I think 2021, we're going to see, a lot of this stuff going on. A lot of people getting themselves into trouble, a lot of people upset by what's going on. But at the same time, a lot of people, taking advantage and putting the control back in their own life. So I'm really excited by that. And it's one of the things we're going to be excited to see throughout the course of this year. If we look at, certain people, I know a lot of people over the last 2 months, it's like there's a great purge that's happening where people are being deplatformed from social media out there. It's not just, the orange man from the US that's there was a president. It is other people out there in alternative news space that's talking about certain things which are being deplatformed because they don't go along with the general rhetoric of society and the communist world that we live in. So yeah, really keep searching for the information that's out there. What else did I want to talk about? That's about it from there. Any questions, guys? Flick the questions through. How is the solar farm, crypto solar farm, coming along? It's going good. I've got some more suppliers of solar panels that are giving me solar panels on the cheap that I'm repurposing solar panels. So got shipping container depots all along the east coast, getting distribution outlets where the trucks can then take those shipping containers and put them onto site, empty them out, put them on the field, send them back to where they need to be, collect more panels, and there we go. Just like Amazon, but decentralized. So we've got the news about our friends over at GameStop, which I'm still questioning that. I think it's a pump. I think something's a bit odd about that. So I'm just questioning that. News article here from news.com. Australian housing values soar to record high as capital cities experience varying rises. So Australia's property market has achieved record high milestone not seen since 2017. I remember going back 6 months ago, all these knobs out there, all these doomsayers, these miserable old blokes going, everything's going to fall by 40%. This is what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Well, here we are with new all-time highs when it comes to the property, right? It's a new all-time high for everything. It's not the property that's going up. They might say it's the property going up. It's just that you need more cash to buy the same shit that you could yesterday. Australia's property market has reached a milestone of the recovery from the said virus, with national housing values reaching record high last month. Core Logic data shows the Australian housing values rose 0.9% in January, 1% higher than before the scamdemic, and 0.7% above the September 2017 record. Right, that is when they screwed up and took away lending from the market. Right, and now they've made it easier for people to borrow. They've pumped so much money out there. I'm so excited to see what happens in March when they remove all the things that they put back in 2017. It was actually 2016. Perth and Hobart showed even bigger gains, with housing values rising 1.6%. Told everyone that Perth was pretty good, but Hobart, not buying over there. Canberra, who wants to buy there? No offence to all my friends over in Canberra. Darwin showed the biggest rise of capital cities with 2.3% increase in dwelling values. It's too expensive up there, too expensive. You can't buy anything cheap in Darwin. Sydney recorded the highest median property value at almost 880 grand, while Melbourne was just over 690 grand. The only other capital city with a median value house above 600 grand was Canberra. Internal migration data shows more people are leaving Sydney and Melbourne for regional areas, resulting in a transition of activity from metro regions to outer fringe on regional markets. Very interesting note that they put there, because that is wrong. That data is wrong. I actually went onto news.com. There was an article there just before I hopped online, something about people leaving the city. They said that Sydney has had the largest exodus, but then in a small print, it says that it is down. The amount of people that have left Sydney is down from the year beforehand. There's less people leaving Sydney now than what there was before. So a lot of these things are false sort of claims out there. Canberra is full of politicians, of course. That's why I'm not a fan of Canberra. It feels like communist, like USSR, but it's in Australia. Got some questions here regarding metals. I'll get back to that shortly. Looking at, these cities, right? You can buy in Sydney in 2021 for 270, 280 grand. You can buy in Brisbane. I've seen a question here from Michael. What are your thoughts on Slacks Creek or Woodridge? Too late to get in. That market, was better buying sort of, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago. The market has moved a lot. It is hard to get stuff under $200,000. However, I have been able to pick up properties under $200,000 recently. A lot of people in the last quarter of last year have been able to pull out 20 to 30% equity that they bought with those properties. So looking at... just seeing lots of questions coming from you guys. Keep them coming through. Those markets, I'm picking up properties in Brisbane for 120, 130 grand. I've picked up 2 properties this year in Brisbane for under 120,000, both off market value in those sort of locations. So you can't find those things nowadays because they're not around. But if you're buying them for 100 grand, 120, 150 grand, okay. If it's more than that, I'm not a big fan. I'd rather go to other locations which are much more better for that sort of thing. Depending on what you are buying, the upper level of what I'm buying there is sort of 200 grand, but that's for something that's fairly new and of sizable magnitude. So I'm going to come back, keep the questions rolling. I'm going to go through some more of this news. From ABC, always be commie news. Australian being commie news, whatever you want to call it. Australian shares lose 46% after the Dow Jones. There's 46 billion after the Dow Jones drops another 630 points on fears of an overvalued market. No shit, right? No shit. There is no yield coming from these markets, right? These financial markets cannot pay dividends and cannot pay returns. It is all a big fat Ponzi scheme. People are looking for yield. That's why I like to buy assets that give yield. It will lead me on to my next answer to your questions about gold and silver and different bullion. But I like things that are giving cash flow. That's why I like property. Yeah, so looking at this here, 630 point loss. It doesn't sound like much because the share market is now up to 30,000 on the Dow Jones. But do recall that the GFC's deepest and largest day that had occurred was about 630 points. So it just happens in a day. We had the global financial crisis back in 2007, right? And we have that every day and no one gives a fuck, right? No one gives a fuck that we just lost 630 points. Oh, it's all right. We just printed some more. She's all right. We've got more money coming through. And yeah, so that is the world that we're living in. This currency control, money manipulation, and liquidity getting injected. They think they're doing these ones, right? But they're doing this one to the liquidity. They're just printing that shit out of the printers. They don't even have to print it. They just go, oh, well, we'll just add an extra zero. Everyone gets a bit more money. We'll sort it out. It is like an alcoholic having more drinks so they don't get a hangover, right? It's at some point, it has to give up, right? If it's not, stop doing these ones, your liver's going to give it up, or whatever the case may be. This system is rigged, right? And I think there's great opportunity from it. And 2021, a lot of people that weren't prepared, that haven't been looking at it right, may not be so happy this year, may not be happy next year. But those that are, I think the questions come through. But yeah, like there's lots and lots of control happening out there. A lot of bad people doing a lot of bad things. So yeah, that's it for my news articles. I've got your questions coming through. So some of the questions were, so how's the solar farm coming along? It's good. So as I said, got more panels coming. Need to get more machines plugged in. I've got to chase up my mate John, because if John's watching, I'll message you later because we need to get some more plugged in. Whoa, what's happened to my screen here? Patrick wrote, that awesome YouTube video you shared with Catherine Austin Fitz is gone. I feel she's 100% on the money. That video I had shared to me about 5 times from different people after I posted that. I posted a video. Sometimes when I post videos onto Birch feed, they get wiped very quickly. It's just due to the fact that they don't want it being seen. So YouTube is removing content that it deems it doesn't want to be seen out there. Maybe I can find a copy of that video. It's Catherine Austin Fitz. If someone has found it on an alternative platform, be it BitChute or DTube or one of those other sites where things aren't getting wiped, send it over to me and I will put it back in the feed. But it was a good video to watch there from Catherine Austin Fitz. Shelby, hey Birchy, do you have any recommendations in regards to gold or silver bullion dealers? I used to buy my bullion back in the day from a place that was like Perth Bullion Company or something, but I believe that they've gone under maybe like a year or two ago. With bullion nowadays, I've been actually getting it from different sources. So I've cleared out from coast to coast, from the top to the bottom, all of the, just like I have my little weird things that I do with the solar panels and all that sort of stuff, all the coin dealers and collectibles and that, whether they be little old watches or whatever. I just buy it at junk value. I pick up all different things, whether they be collectible sets from Australia, whether they be old metals. So I just pick this stuff up. I don't actually go to bullion dealers anymore. Occasionally I will hop on to, there's a place called Bullion Now in Melbourne which sells stuff, and there's a place in Perth which I think could be that Perth Bullion Company, which is called Swan Bullion. I'm not, their premiums are, there's a bit of a premium there that they've got to pay, that you've got to pay when you buy from. So that's why I'm not the biggest fan However, yeah, a lot of the stuff that I buy is at spot or less, so I don't want to be paying any premium. So, but try those two. They're good. Or ABC Bullion. It's in Sydney. I've never been there, but everyone always rants on about how great they are. What about Mount Isa or the Kimberley? Never bought in either of them. I remember looking at Mount Isa like last year when I started telling people, right? So in the mining areas, I actually don't tell you guys and everyone where I go buy. I actually buy that for my investors via my investment firm, being the buyer's agency, being property investment agents, B.Invested buyer's agency, which is where I locate and negotiate the deals for my investors. I actually go out and clean out those markets and don't talk about them in public, unless you guys are, my investors. But I went into a lot of mining towns a couple of years ago, started collecting these properties very cheap. Some areas like last year were picking up for like 50 and 60 grand, now selling for 120 to 150. They've doubled in value over a year. They used to sell for like 400 or so. I never bought in Mount Isa. I saw that as a little bit risky, a little bit out of my comfort zone, a little bit rough, and I have noticed that has gone up a lot. So yeah, that has gone up a lot there. We are off the trip. Yeah. Biden spent no time putting in place climate change, which will help Tesla, no doubt. It's really interesting seeing that club. I find it fun that the orange guy that used to be in says, I'm not getting paid for being the president, etc., etc. However, imagine the deals that were done. Imagine the security. Imagine the advertising, right? Who wants to get paid 500 grand a year when you've got enough assets that you can manipulate like that? So, yeah, looking at these guys with their own clubs, I don't say that the other guy was a bad guy. I actually liked him. If you put them all in a lineup, he would have been my favourite. But like you're looking at this one, they've got their own little clubs. They've got their own little groups of people where they're protecting, and they got vested interests and special groups that they have supporting each other. So interesting to see that, as well as how they test for the said infection that's out there. They changed the day that he came in. I read something. For as much as I can see, it would have been sort of verified, because there is a lot of misinformation out there as well. That they had changed the way that they tested and did the testing for the said illness, and basically it would mean that the cases are much lower now. Which if we start seeing that, then it will be interesting to see the fallout from that. So. What areas do you buy in the mining areas? Good question. I'm not going to answer that. I don't mean to be smart about that. That's my IP, right? Like, I've driven 7,000 Ks, been through a lot of areas. It's my intellectual property for my investors. So I reserve that for my investors. They know where I'm buying. They know what I buy because they're buying. And we do really, really well out of going in and taking up, pulling the eyes out of the market. So if you would like help locating those properties that are below market value and do have upside for growth and have a strong cash flow, flick us a PM, DM, whatever you want to call it nowadays, or send us an email at admin@binvested.com.au, and ask my team how we can help you secure those properties and what we do. But I've got properties that I picked up. There was one I did this year in one of those sort of locations, which sold for $495,000 going back in 2013. I picked it up for $73,000. Used to rent for $1,600 per week, and currently renting for $340 per week. So yeah. On that note, need to speak to my team on that front. I think I've covered a lot of your questions here, guys. I'm kind of out of things. I was like really excited to hop back online and I thought everyone would have heaps of questions for me. Um, um, yeah. Hey Sam, good to see you online. Look forward to working with you as well, and being a part of your journey and helping you kick ass for 2021. But yeah, with it, I'm here for the last 10 minutes. I want to keep it to an hour today. I do have something else to talk to you guys about, which there's a link in the description. People ask me, how can you sort of help your children get ahead in life? A lot of people out there wanting to get their kids started young. I understand I'm not so young nowadays. I never used to have, grey hair and all that sort of stuff. But when I first started, I was 13 years old and I wanted to, buy property and be rich. And, my definition of rich was having money coming through and property and whatnot, because wealthy people had property. So, a lot of people ask me, like, how can you get your children started? Where do they start, etc. I just was born with a drive to want to be successful. But I got access to this book, which has just come out, which is called The A to Z of Money. It is only out on a few places. There is a link, a special link on the description of the Facebook Live video, where you can buy this book for your children. It's called The A to Z of Money, not the J to Z, it's the A to Z of Money. For your tiny entrepreneur. I believe there's going to be a larger series of this, which will be coming out later, but this is the start of the series, which is the A to Z of Money, teaching kids all about financial terms, financial literacy. Maybe they can go to school and ask their teacher, hey miss, hey sir, what is a variable interest rate? Or they might be asking, what is superannuation? Or maybe they can teach the teacher something about it. So if you do have children, I'm just helping out some people in the community by sharing this. You can buy the book on our website, follow the link, and get yourself a copy of that. I think it's only a small run of these books, the A to Z of Money. If you have little kids, want to get them started in investing, teach them about the A to Z's whilst they're young. So, got some more questions coming through. Here we go. Wow, lots of questions here now. Hey Birchy, you did a market update video recently and talked about revals in Brisbane. Can you tell us about this and some examples? I actually can't remember which video, because some of the videos I record and I do them in batches. They may be in my office, they may be on the road. So I don't know exactly which videos you're referring to specifically. But one thing I do know is that I took about 40 videos whilst I was away. And on my next trip, which I'll be doing 5,000k drive, I'm checking out a new motel that I bought over the break. It was a $700,000 purchase. Rent on it should be about $350,000 per year. I've never seen it. It is in a location I'll share with you when I get there, and it'll be more fun when I tell you when I get there. But on my journeys to these sorts of things that I do, I like to take videos of things that I've bought for people and share it, A, with the person that bought them, and B, just with the community, and talk about what I've been doing. So I don't know exactly which one, because I shot 40 videos on my drive. I actually got violently ill and bedridden for like 3 days as well, and 4 days, and I'm still a bit feeling weird. I thought I must have ate something bad or something like that, but it was like, so I was hoping to do more videos. But so there was some videos throughout Queensland that I filmed of properties for investors. However, there has been some tremendous results that came in throughout 2020, like people buying properties for 100 grand and revaluing them for 150 grand within a day of settlement, 2 days of settlement. There was more people last year that I helped go from 0 to 6+ properties than ever beforehand. There was more investors that we helped out last year than any time beforehand. and the banks, like, they are starting to be cool. We're starting to see what happens to the banks, and it is a bit of a fall and a collapse in the banks when they really realise what they're creating here. There is a bubble that is being inflated. It's only very early days, but there's some great opportunities from buying properties and getting equity out quick, smart, and obviously keeping them low risk. So yeah. Tyson, are you worried the government will take your asset if you refuse the said thing? It's hard for me to even know what I own sometimes, so good luck for them finding that out. I don't believe that they will be able to. If they do, we'll find a way around it. I find it as a very minuscule amount that they'll be able to. I just feel that, you won't be able to, hop into a public transport, potentially maybe hop into a large box retail outlet, potentially get money from the system. They may not let you use that. So I've well protected myself from all different areas, whether it be from food, wealth preservation, wealth accumulation, any form of asset, whether it's having debt. If I really wanted to, one of the things I actually just realized as I said this, because I was thinking, debts in the world, I actually got to a point where I think I could pay out all my debt if I wanted to without selling any of my property. So I just choose not to, because I want to accumulate more assets, and 2, 3, 4% interest rates, who would want to pay out debt, sort of thing? So I'm not concerned at all. I'm concerned for a lot of people that will take it and may not be normal again, but it will be interesting to see. Dan, welcome back. Birchy, thoughts on the Perth property at the moment? The Perth property market, like, I've been over there for a long while, picking up bargains and pulling the eyes out of the market. Right, the market in Perth is very hot in a lot of areas. Actually, getting a Blink office over there at the moment. So in the process of doing Blink in Perth and Blink in Melbourne, which will be on the rollout in the first quarter of this year. Got all the licensing and all that started, but being pretty aggressive in the Perth market. The market has picked up a lot in 2020, 2019, 2020. It is extremely hot in Perth. That's probably one of the hottest markets, and I don't like markets when they're hot, so I'm not buying there at the moment. Dave asked me, but it's good if you've got property there, which I believe from our last chat, Dan, it would be good for you. Dave, do you have an RBA cash rate forecast for the near future? I don't, actually. So I've always sort of, for the last 11 years or so, I've been sending out posts on my personal Facebook every month saying, this is what's going to happen before the interest rates come out. This is what's going to happen in 6 months' time. I only post generally when I know that something's going to happen with the interest rate sort of 6 months in advance, 3 months in advance. And I'll put it there just because, it's good for memory when you look at it and go, see, said they were going to come down. But at this point, what's going to happen with interest rates? They're not going up. Interest rates, let me tell you guys, without you guys running out and going, all my communist friends from all the government departments and want to say I'm giving financial advice. I still say this in 2021, have a good year to them. But no financial advice, but I do not see in any way, shape or form how interest rates can go up. Right? If interest rates went up by 0.25%, 0.5%, 1%, all the homeowners out there will probably go bankrupt. All the business owners will go bankrupt. The Australian government will go bankrupt. It cannot happen. We haven't seen an interest rate rise for over 10 years. It's 11 years this year since we've seen an interest rate rise. Looking at the rates going down, we're at 10 basis points. That's not even 0.25%. So what can happen to the interest rates now? Well, they can go below zero, which they're showing that they're not going to do that. So they're printing more money. So as Hayden mentioned beforehand in here, and I think there was it a Daniel that mentioned as well? Let's go back to their comments. RBA's announced another $100 billion in bond buying program. Darren was who wrote here. I just read on the ABC News page that they're going to put $200 billion into the economy. So what another great way of stimulating and reinflating this big Ponzi scheme. Instead of lowering the interest rates further for people, they're just going to print money, say, here's some money, you can go and use this to pay your bills. So have you noticed also the inflation rate for Australia is sitting at 0.09. It's not even 1% inflation, right? Where the fuck have you seen 0.09 of a percent, not even 1% inflation in the year, right? Because last time I saw Macca's put all their shit up, right? Twice, right? I don't go to Macca's that often now, but I used to, and I remember the prices, right? I remember every time I go there what I'm seeing, right? That's gone up more than 1%, right? Your grocery bill has gone up by more than 1%, right? Everything has gone up by more than 1%, and they're not even accounting for this, right? And it's crazy. It is crazy. So it's everyone's having a chat over here. I was reading the comments. Feel like I'm not in the group. Hey everyone. Some comments on Instagram. With it, interest rates are not going up, right? You're kidding yourself if you think they're going up. Hey Adam. You're kidding yourself if you think interest rates are going to go up. If you think that interest rates are going to go down, I think we're right on track, right? I thought, hand on the chest, my heart's a little bit lower, but you can't really see it there, so let's lower the thing. Hand on the heart, thought that we were going to see negative interest rates at the end of last financial year, which everyone said I was stupid for, right? And that was a year prior. I said we'd see by the end of that. But we ended up at 0.25%. And then a month later, we should have been at zero. It should have been negative, but they took away 15 basis points, right? And here we are with a zero rate. There's nothing happening. It's like crickets. Right? I can hear some crickets outside at the moment, but it's like crickets, right? At the RBA, nothing's happening. There will be a point, I still believe, that we are going to be at negative rates, right? It's when are they going to pull that card out, right? I believe they're ready. I believe they're ready for it. When are they going to pull out? There is no rates for anything. Imagine being a saver right now. I've said savers will be the biggest losers out of this. They're the biggest loser because they're getting zero return. They're getting 0.0001. It looks like the remnants of a Bitcoin wallet with one Satoshi left in the wallet, right? People aren't earning shit in their savings account. Their money that they have in their savings account is buying less and less. Savers are losers, right? I'm not saying, oh, you save money, you're a loser, right? You're losing your purchasing power, and it's getting worse and worse, and 2021 is going to get a hell of a lot worse. 2022, you probably, have lots of more regrets, and it's going to get a hell of a lot worse, guys. So, yeah. But unfortunately, Dave, I don't have any updates. I did think that we would see at the end of March, potentially, but it's still... I don't see it. I don't see it at the moment. Definitely no increase in rates. I believe that we should be negative rates. We should be at -2 to -3%. And when they do push through the zero bound rates at the RBA, it will go very quickly to -2 to -3%. So keep an eye out for that this year. And I'll keep you guys posted on it too. Chris, live on the Gold Coast, haven't purchased first property yet. How fucked? It is getting, getting very, very tough out there in the Gold Coast. The market has boomed tremendously. Like my investors that bought prior to 2020, doing great, right? Always in before the market. Before they boom. I'm a contrarian investor, so I want to buy things when the market's screwed. The market is screwed in a different way up there in the Gold Coast, and that is because it is very, very hot. I am still picking up cheap stuff. I just picked up a property off market today in a suburb up there. Even though it is off market, I'm not going to share it with everybody, but it is on the Gold Coast. It is a family area. It's a 6-bedroom house. Everything sells for about 700,000 there in the suburbs, which we'd all know if we know the market there. I picked it up for 520,000. I'm still trying to knock off another 10. So if you do want a house, I've got about 6 people I was going to send it to after our live tonight. But if you are interested in a house, maybe we can chat about something with that. So, Pat, do you think an interest rate cut next month? Do you think food shortage will happen this year? I think food is getting worse and worse and worse. The food quality, the food ingredients, the food care, right? Whether it's an animal that someone's going to eat, or whether it be a vegetable or a grocery someone's got, like vegetable or fruit that someone eats. The type and quality of food is getting atrocious out there. Fortunately, I don't eat any of that stuff. I just eat organic food nowadays, even though I eat a lot of stuff and I still look fat, but I'm eating healthy and well. But yeah, like the food shortage, I don't see a food shortage. I just see that the quality getting diminished of what's being delivered and served up to people. But I do see that we will, as I said before, with the interest rates, do we see a rate cut next month? I don't see anything right at this minute, but I believe we should have already seen it. So that is manipulation. It's when I see the hand get moved and I can see something happen, I see that I will share it with you guys. Bevan, finance seems to be taking ages. Do you think finance applications will speed up this year? Hopefully. The banks were atrocious in 2020. They have got marginally better, but still quite bad out there. So hopefully we'll see them pick up their quality and customer service at the back end this year. Tracy, I may start up a school on how to be financially free and kick the tax slave drivers up the arse. I always think when I have children one day that I will not be sending them to a school. I will employ a teacher to look after my children and be able to teach them outside of the system. So, for many obvious reasons. Allegedly, houses in Adelaide will rise by 10% in the next couple of years. Do you reckon this will be the market in general with inflation? It's funny, I did multiple map sessions today with investors. I'm booked out. Teams booked me out to like April, I think it is, with map sessions. And I had a few map sessions today, and I was talking, last person I spoke to was saying that the market where they are has moved. Every person saying where they live has increased, right? It doesn't mean that Queensland got any better. It doesn't mean that Sydney got any better. Why is Sydney house prices rising? Why did that article beforehand say the house prices are rising? Why is Melbourne house prices rising? Is it because suddenly everybody wants to move to CCP Melbourne? No, right? What made the prices rise? What made the prices rise was the availability of credit, the cost of credit, and the amount of money that's being printed and going through the market. All markets are naturally rising at the moment. So, looking at Adelaide, I've got a few houses in Adelaide myself that I bought years ago. I've never been there. They've gone up, all right. They've probably doubled. When I bought them, the market was flat for 10 years. Nothing had happened. Probably 2 years afterwards, they started to take off, and they've probably doubled in the last 2 years. But yeah, with it, I don't see why we won't see growth in Adelaide. However, I do believe that there's better locations than Adelaide that I'll be investing my money at the moment into. What is your best city to invest in at the moment? It's the third question we've asked about where to buy and what to buy. I like the commitment. I buy around Australia, so I buy in all different neighbourhoods, in all different cities, in all different places where people are like, where is that? I've never heard of that city. I've never heard of that place. And it's like, well, I'm an investor that invests nationally. So, from corner to corner of the market, I look at the property as what is the property going to do. I don't look in the hot tips and why the property is going to go up and all that sort of stuff. I want to look at the fundamentals of why I'm buying the property, how is it going to help get to the next property, how's it going to increase my asset base, how's it going to increase my cash flow, how's it going to get me to my end goal. So it depends, right, on the property and what's it going to do for you. So do you need cash flow from your deal? Do you need equity? And I would be guided from what I need the property to do as to where I would buy that property to achieve that task. Tracy, BNZ, ANZ have action a 40% LVR on investors here in New Zealand. Apparently they have far too many applicants and only want the best applicants. It's interesting. That is what sort of happened in Sydney back in 2016 when they tried to stop a property boom. APRA came in and made it much tougher for people to borrow to purchase a property. So that is being eased and restricted, and I think will come backwards in March. So it's interesting to see that that the market in New Zealand is a bit more counter-cyclical to here in Australia on that front. But I haven't heard anything like that. I don't think we will see anything like that. If anything, the laws are going to be more laxed. But I do know from my limited knowledge in New Zealand is that there used to be a lot of cheap properties, and a lot of investors went over there for the stamp duty or the capital gains tax exemptions, like the tax rates. People went over there and the prices went up a lot, and you can't even find little places where you can find properties for like 100 grand or 200 grand or 50 grand or 30 grand over there like you can here. So that might be a part of it as well. Matt, hey Nath, are the higher vacancy rates in Sydney becoming a problem for investment properties, e.g. Blacktown and Parramatta? No, rents certainly got hit probably about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Our vacancy rates nationally throughout all my rent rolls, throughout all different locations and all different states, I haven't got anything that's vacant at the moment. So the vacancy's gone down a lot. Sure, rents have taken a bit of a hit. In Sydney, I'm seeing that when a property becomes vacant, whether it be in Penrith or Blacktown or Parramatta or closer to the city, they generally rent out after 2 weeks. That sort of time frame is about average. I actually had two of mine which tenants had given vacancy, and it was just by chance that two of my properties had 0 properties vacant on Christmas, like 2 days before Christmas, and then on Christmas Eve, two of my properties, my personal properties, had become vacant. And when I came back from where I travelled to, the properties were rented. So my team had rented them out within sort of like the first week of this year. So, and they're in Western Sydney. So. Felice, hey Mr. Purge, good to see you. We did have a very great year last year. Thanks to you, your crew, and thanks heaps, and see you soon, Felice. Hopefully you guys are doing great, and we're going to catch up soon. Good to hear all is well at your end. John, hey Birch, what are your thoughts on the Brisbane market at the moment for an investor? I covered on that beforehand. I think that there's some good opportunities out there. I actually did a revaluation, and this is to answer Matt's question from beforehand about Brisbane and revaluations. I revalued. I was speaking to someone today, one of my investors, and it just came to mind. I bought him a property for $240,000 in Brisbane, a 2-bedroom unit, and he revalued it for $350,000 within a week of settling it. So it's 110 grand equity that he was able to pull out. He bought 3 at the time. That was the one that he was able to pull equity out of. The other 2, I think he pulled like 20, 30 grand out of. But he used that equity to purchase a block of units that we bought, which he's cooling off on today. And with that, the Brisbane market is great. Valuations are coming in strong. So I think it's good, but just be very cautious that there is a big boom going on. More specifically, Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast, but Brisbane as well is experiencing quite a boom there. Tyson, do you think the stock market will crash in the second quarter of this year, like Jeff Berwick suggests could happen? I'm surprised that the stock market has not imploded. Right? I am not a fan of the of the stock market. I do not have any paper assets in these, in my control at this point in time. So I'm surprised it's still here. So will it fall second quarter of this year? I'd like to see it fall. It would be great because they're going to print more money and keep that bubble alive. One thing I did say, and it just reminded me, 2 years ago I did a mentoring program, and I said, or 3 years ago now, I did a mentoring program, and I said in there that when we see the heights of the GFD, we will see a decade as we go through a hyperinflation where we'll see crash, we'll see a cycle which might take 10 years happen in like a year. We'll have crashes, it'll be fixed, and then we'll see another crash, it'll be fixed, we'll see another crash, it'll be fixed. And that is due to the velocity, and you pull one lever. Let's say we're driving down the road, right? And we're driving, there was an ad years ago about car crashes, and you drive down the road and you're doing, 30k, 40k's an hour, and you swerve the car. By the time you end at the tree, you can brake your car. But if you are driving at 100k's and you slam brakes on, fall off the road, you're going to fling off in a full-on different direction. I don't know what that, would be classed in scientific terms, but with the amount of counteraction in stimulus packages, quantitative easing, and just currency manipulation, we will see much larger gaps in velocity from trough to peaks in the markets as the markets go up. So they're going to print a lot of money. We're going to see a lot of crashes. We're going to see them quicker. Imagine having 2 large stock market crashes in 2 years consecutive. You would never have seen that beforehand, but that is something that could be very well on the cards, and I believe would be a part of this cycle that we're heading into. So it's hard to prognosticate a lot of this stuff because there's not much to go by apart from specific instances in history and times where countries were robbed of their currency. So, Matt, how are the guppies settling in? They're not guppies, they were koi and silver perch. I've got hundreds of silver perch. They're growing up. I can't get into them because I've actually had a lot of, because I've put a lot of fish, there's hundreds of them I put in. So I can catch my own perch if I want to, and eat them if I choose to. Not that I eat fish or perch, but if I ever had to, well, then it's an option. I don't even need to leave my house to be able to get this, right? It's just in my backyard. It's cool. But in I'm going to put a little boat in there soon. I'll put a video up when I get one. But with those fish, random topic, I put fish into a big dam, and a lot of plant life grew back, and there's lilies everywhere and stuff, just due to the ecosystem kicking along like it should have. So it's pretty cool. Andrew, where I live, homes have risen from 300 to 400 grand over $1 million in roughly the last 5 years or so. Did everyone where you are, Andrea, did everyone's salary double in that period of time? All these professors and gurus and miserable old people will come out and go, oh well, in Ireland when the crash occurred, the wage has gone up from 5 years worth of salary for a house is now 20 years worth of salary. But what these gurus have come in and haven't realized is that they've hollowed out the cost of money. If you had $1 trillion home loan and it cost you nothing, who cares if you got $1 trillion home loan, because it cost you nothing? So they still have a lot to move by manipulating these rates. And it's good that you point that out, Andrew. So thanks for sharing that with everybody. It's going to continue to happen all around the country, which is interesting. Timothy, is right now generally a good time to buy, or should I wait another few months? People were waiting last year. People made lots of money last year. For me personally, as I said, I bought 7 motels this year. As 1 month in, I bought a new weekender, in the process of buying a weekender. I'm very active in the market. Actually, I bought a unit the other day too. I bought a unit in Sydney, which was cheap. So yeah, with it, up to you whether you want to wait or not. I love getting things on sale. The cost of money is going cheaper. People are needing a lot more money to buy the same goods. Inflation is, eroding everything. So, no pressure, if you feel wait in the future, but I think we're going to see a lot more growth occur in these markets. Chris, are the lending schemes worth it? For example, the first home buyer, I don't know. People ask these things. Like, people go, oh, should I wait? Should I buy a property and get the first home in a grant? Well, you can buy a property, get the first home in a grant. But the problem is that, you might not be able to buy that property, or you might be buying the wrong property, or you can't buy the property that you should be buying. You could buy one principal place of residence for your first home that cost you $800,000, and that's the end of the journey. You've got one house, you're the sole person paying your debt. This is something for people: should I buy my investment property or my principal place? For me, I was at 130 properties when I bought my first principal place of residence. And I didn't pay for that principal place of residence. My tenants did, my properties did. I didn't physically have to, which enabled me to buy such a much larger property, which I still own today, which is worth millions of dollars. It's sort of $4 million now, just for a block of land. So with that, if you're buying a principal place of residence as your first home and you feel like you're being squashed into it because you have to get the first home in a grant, you need to work out, is buying a first home which you are now enslaved to pay that mortgage, right? This is where everybody screws up, right? They go to school, get a job, get a mortgage, get a white picket fence, all that sort of stuff. You are on the hook for paying that mortgage. For me, when I first looked at it, I was like, I've got 10 properties and I've got 10 tenants. Those 10 tenants, it sound like I'm talking about a band, the 10 tenants or something. The 10 tenants will be paying for those mortgages. I don't have to pay for anything, right? So I could have $2 million worth of property, say 10 properties at 200 grand. That's $2 million worth of asset that could double from 2 mil to 4 mil. And I don't pay for a cent. Or you can have one mortgage at 800 grand that could go up, but then you're tired and you're on the hook for it. So just my 2 cents on that. Matt wrote, Martin North is being quiet. Maybe he needs a map session to finally get in. Now, there is some miserable mother, right? I've never met someone so miserable. I do have some beliefs that are aligned with his, but he's missing the other side of the coin, right? If you had, one side of the coin, I don't have any coins here that I can share really, but if you have one side of the coin, it's still not a coin. You've got two sides, and there's two sides to the equation. That is a person who is one miserable old person that sits there, whinges, complains, made a business out of complaining, has never done anything. I think he's about 60 or 70. Everybody went to, thought he was a guru, and he screwed him over from giving him sort of wrong advice. And he had the heart to write or to say that I was probably the dodgiest person he ever come across, because he saw a 20 section of one of these videos from back in March last year where I talked about a hyperinflation, and he had no idea what he was talking about, and he looks like a dick if he massive dick. So good luck to him. I've got a jet because my computer's about to die. Just got a couple of notes here on Instagram and want to show some love with everyone here. Wayne said the Sunshine Coast is going crazy. It is. Sunshine Coast going nuts. Adam, if you had 50 grand for a house deposit versus 50k in crypto, what is your preference? I can't give financial advice, but if I was down the pub, which I don't drink either, with a couple of my mates talking about, 50 grand should put on a property or should we put on crypto? Crypto, I would never bet the house on crypto. I've always bought crypto and I've bought metals and put like slow amounts, like 10 grand, $100, $200, $500, a grand. I've never put 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand into these things. Occasionally I have, which has been, just because I've had cash flow that I could have put into it at different points in my life. So I wouldn't bet the house onto crypto. If you had that same 50 grand, and people would construe this into many different ways, right? I would rather buy the property below market value, pull out the equity so I can get my deposit back. And then if I had the 50 grand still, then I could put a couple of dollars of that into the crypto. So I would put a small amount, let's say for every house that I bought, maybe 2 grand or 5 grand into crypto. So then I'm like building up a crypto base, but it is very volatile for everybody that's watching. And I've seen a lot of people get wiped out. So be very careful with what crypto you are buying. Your debt is your asset. Build the balance sheet. Exactly. I've said for a very long time that debt is the asset. We will know in the future that debt will become the asset, and people couldn't see that in the past. I've got a person that's very, very dear to me, Ridwan Hannon from One Path Accountants. I said this, and he was like, "Mate, you're right." He goes, "You're a bit extreme with a lot of your views." He goes, "But it will be interesting to see what transpires from that." And it was something we had a conversation about 2 years ago. The debt becomes the asset because debt is irrelevant with inflation. If you had a 5 grand loan, which could have bought you a mansion back in 1930, 5 grand would be like the cost of your iPhone or the laptop that I'm on. So, the debt becomes irrelevant with inflation. We've got massive inflation. We've got asset prices getting inflated a lot. And we've got debt which is still staying the same as what it was in the past. Kylie, do you think work-life play areas are in high demand for tenants due to the sickness, i.e. people wanting to rent and live closer to lifestyle venues, i.e. beaches, holiday locations? Yes. A lot of people are moving to these locations. So that's why Sunshine Coast, nuts. Central Coast in New South Wales, nuts. Gold Coast, nuts. Prices are going up. Rents are going up. In the Gold Coast, we've seen rents increase by $50 to $80 on average over the last 3 months due to the fact of demand that's going into these locations. The prices are rising, 50 grand, 100 grand. For example, in the Central Coast, you could have picked up a little fibro shack in the entrance last year for $400,000 to $500,000. You're looking at $800,000 to $900,000 only 3 months later. So, there is a massive shift to these sort of locations. So, I noticed my laptop's about to die. One last question. I've got 2 little special notes. So the first special note I'm going to go on to is just talking about something tomorrow. If you are not registered, I've got a webinar. I'm starting to write that. As soon as I get off this live, I'm going to be writing the webinar and finalizing it for tomorrow night's presentation for us looking at how to build a property portfolio in 2021. Whether you're starting off with $0, whether you're starting off with 50 grand, whether you're starting off with 100 grand, whether you're starting off with 150 grand, different starting points to build a portfolio and how that would look like. So I'll be holding that webinar. You need to register for it. If you haven't registered for it, flick us a DM. My team will be in touch and send you the link on how to register. It's important to be there. It was a request actually from Andrea, said, how can you build a portfolio? I've seen all your videos and I was inspired to do a webinar on this because she asked me, I'd like to see how you could build a portfolio in the current market. So I'm going to specifically do that for everyone to be able to watch. You won't be able to see it on YouTube or Facebook or Insta or anywhere like that. You need to register for this and it will be interactive as well. So make sure you register for that. If you're watching it, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. Where I'll be going through how to specifically build a portfolio, whether it be from equity, whether it be from capital, what you can do. I'll actually have maybe 2 real life example portfolios. I've got to contact a couple of you guys and girls to ask if I can talk about your specific positions in tomorrow's night's webinar, because you've got fantastic stories from 2020. Keep forgetting which year we're in now. So yeah, just on that, thanks a lot for watching, guys. I've got here a couple of notes. Nate, nothing wrong with buying a principal place of residence first and building a portfolio. It will slow your progress, but it can work. Yes, just backing up my last comment and what Nate's saying here. I'm not saying don't buy a principal place of residence as a first property, but a lot of people are now being railroaded into spending exorbitant amounts on a brand new property to get a government grant. House prices have shifted on new properties in some areas by 100 grand, 200 grand. Who wants to go buy one of those new properties when you can go buy an older property which has got equity built into it, it ticks all the boxes, but you're paying a premium to get a couple of dollars? So why collect 20 grand when you're paying an extra 200 grand? That is sort of where I was going along that line. So thanks for bringing that up, Nate, because principal places are cool. Guy, hey Nate, good looking forward to this year. Day after map session with you, had 2 properties under contract now. Can't wait to buy more already. Addicted to buying property, mate. I look forward to helping you kick ass and achieving your goals. Like 2 properties is really cool. I want to get you to 10. You want to be aggressive. I want to help you get there. So look forward to helping you kick ass this year and next year, moving forward and helping you reach your goals. So awesome. Thanks for tuning in, Guy. Elias, you asked me lots of questions. The same thing. Where do I buy a property? What do I think? There's many different locations in Australia. There's tens of thousands of different suburbs and postcodes, and they all bring different things. So not going to get that answer. Andrew, can't wait for the webinar. Look forward to seeing you there. Just on the last and final note, everyone, thanks a lot for tuning in. There's 2 things. One, this book, you can find it on the link in the description. If you want a copy of it, go and tune in. Go and look at the website. The A to Z of money. Teach your kids about money and get them out of the matrix before they get enslaved into that. And finally, I'll be planning a podcast version of this moving forward. So we'll catch up soon, whether it's next week on here on